Hello and welcome everyone to another webinar from Nubino on the latest updates in the world of serialization. This is continuation of our series of webinars from this year about the regulatory updates. My name is Vital Lipnevich. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Nubino, and I'm joined here today with our serialization expert, Renata Grzegorzewska. Hello, Renata. Nice to have you here with us.
Everyone.
Yes, so would really like to welcome all of our participants. We have a lot of people who are coming back, so we're very happy for that. Thank you guys, and welcome to everyone who's here for the first time. It's great to see you. We hope you like it. And as mentioned earlier, today we're going to focus on continuation of our first series of webinars about the regulatory updates and compliances on serialization. We already had a session earlier this year for what to expect in the first half, and now we're going to be discussing what has already happened and what we should look forward to till the end of the year. I'd like to inform everyone that the webinar is going to be recorded, so that means you all will be able to receive the recording and check it out at your own time, or also pass it on to your colleagues who might be interested in this. So you will receive all of that information after the webinar. We also have a live chat, so guys, please feel free to put your questions there, your comments. We're always excited to hear from you. And yes, we'll start soon. I believe. Yes, hi everyone. I see some people already speaking with us, so that's very nice. Also, for those who are not following us on LinkedIn, please feel free to do so. We're posting all kinds of useful information from the world of serialization and track and trace. So hope you like it too. And of course, let's start with our webinar. Renata, the first question I have to you, in general, how do you see the development happening from the beginning of the year till now? Is everything as it was expected? Any changes or anything? What's your take on it?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, today we are going to discuss some of the most important developments when it comes to regulations in pharma industry, starting from the beginning of this year and looking into what is going to happen in the next months. And for me, when I'm looking at 2026, for me it seems that this year is enforcement year, because after many years of preparations, countries decided to implement the solution, to start to enforce them. And we have very many examples which we will discuss today during our call, and the same the same idea we discussed during our previous webinar, that 2026 is enforcement year, and we should be all aware of this, that many countries that were a little bit forgotten, that they are still preparing this year, are going to implement and require serialization actively.
Nice. I mean, it seems like it. And to be honest with you guys, it's we believe and we see that this is just the beginning, and more countries are going to be up and coming with this. So we'll keep you posted on all of those in the future. But just before we go, because of course we're keeping all of these sessions interactive, so guys, you'll have a poll as well in a second. But before we jump into that, Renata, any surprises to you personally on what you see happening this year with serialization?
You know, also what is interesting this year is that many countries, many markets decide to implement some technological changes. So platforms are upgraded, platforms are migrated from one to another, and also this would be a topic for today for us to discuss.
Perfect. And to be honest with you, when we were just starting in like 2018 and stuff like that, and we were speaking to pharmaceutical companies all over Europe at that time, was very active thing. This was actually kind of expected, because this was done for the first time. So because EU Hub, I believe, has been already updated many times in the past, but now we're seeing other markets are doing it as well. So what that shows to us is that basically the market is trying to perfect this, to optimize it, to make it really better, and hopefully one day to actually start providing more value than just security to the supply chain. Sweet. And so, with this being said, guys, we have our first poll of the day, which you should be able to see on the screen now. Yeah, the poll is really. Is there a question there written on the poll? Perfect. So the audience sees the poll, but generally it has to do with changes that you guys are expecting. So let's see what are the results and which areas actually create the most challenges for you guys. We have some potential assumptions what it might be, but it's always best to hear it from the source, right? So yeah, while we are still waiting for final votes to come in, guys, I really also encourage you to go and check the first webinar from this series. For those who might have missed it, there was also another one interesting about the compliance, which we'll touch a bit today. But for you, might be interesting if you work in the US on the NDCs. So feel free to go and check it out. It's on our webpage. But of course, we'll be able to provide all of those to those who want and need it. So do we have everyone who voted? Yes, we do. So now let's just sum up results a bit. Let me just do a bit of that. So, wow. Okay. So to you guys, or according to you, probably the least impactful part has to do with validation for you. So validation capacity and then internal resources. So kudos to all of your quality assurance teams for that. Very nice. The second, which is actually splitting the same position, is data quality and master data. I mean, actually glad to hear that this is not a big challenge for you guys, because I mean, at the end of the day, most of us have been already operating within serialization, so it's good that we managed to put master data in the right form. And the challenges that seem to be much more complex for you guys is meeting a near-term market deadline. Yeah, the regulators in general are quite aggressive. I mean, unless in Italy it's been a bit different, but elsewhere they're trying to be quite strict on that. So we understand you there. And partner onboardings. I don't think it matters how far we're going to be in the life cycle of serialization. That's always going to be a challenge because it's two parties having to align, having to agree, having to communicate, and
Sure.
And make it happen. What are these answers surprising to you, Renata?
No, they are not surprising to me, and I would like to comment on the response that received the most the votes from our audience, which is meeting a near-term market deadlines. And I think that the challenge here is also that the information is very often not accessible to the industry. That, depending on the country, of course, there are some markets which provide information on a regular basis and the expectations are clear. However, there are also markets where it's difficult to get the information, what is required. Very often information are published in local languages, which is also a challenge. That's why I fully understand those companies, those persons who find this challenging to understand the requirements and to feel confident while preparing to meeting them.
Yeah, and Renata, this is a very good remark. And I'll be honest with you guys, it actually takes us quite some effort to really go and find all of these, because we have several of our team players who are basically constantly working on understanding what are the right regulations, translating all of these, so we can digest and provide you with really the most important and valuable information here. So the challenge is known to us as well. Okay, so guys, thank you very much, everyone, for answering. We find this very useful. Now, I would like for us to move on to the next subject, and probably maybe I would say quite a hot subject based on our audience, and it's European Union.
Yeah.
It's the market that's been alive and active. Yes. For now, 7 years here and there, and it seems like nothing should be changing. But Renata, maybe tell us what you know about this and what we can expect.
Yeah. So, and we also have some materials which will be shared with the audience after today's meeting, so you can also have this information with you. But when it comes to European Union, I would like to start with some important thing, which is technical upgrade of EU Hub platform.
Boom.
Yeah. So this is technical change, but important one. And when it comes to this, EU Hub published important announcement in May 2026 this year, that EU Hub is going to go through set of changes. There are 3 of them, and each of them has its timelines, its deadlines for implementation. The first one is so-called schema update. And when it comes to schema update, it might sound a little bit technical or difficult to understand simply. However, let's think about it as a language, that the language that is used by your serialization system in order to communicate with EU Hub. And this language is going to change this year. So many systems, many companies still uses schema 2018, and EU Hub this year is going to implement a new one, 2021. And the requirement is to change this language, then change this schema in order to be able to still communicate, still receive information from EU Hub.
Wow, this is actually very interesting. So who do you think, Renata, is going to be impacted the most by this? Because is it going to be, the pharmaceutical organizations who are, reporting and doing this, or is it going to be the vendors?
All the users of EU Hub, of all OBPs are going to be impacted. However, good news here is that, at least for companies, for MAHs, is that they are not going to do it themselves. And they are even not able to do it themselves. So this is the obligation of serialization system providers, gateway providers, to be able to adjust to this technical upgrade of EU Hub and be able to secure proper connection with EU Hub for their customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second, but it's not only the only one change here. The second one is endpoint URL change. And we think about this, we can imagine that this is kind of address which we need to communicate, which we need to go to in order to connect with EU Hub. And this is always this is also going to change this year. And again, software systems providers needs to adjust this URL address in order to let their customers to communicate with EMVO, because in other situation, after 2nd of March 2027, customers will not be able to communicate with EMVO and will receive error message. So this is important.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So excuse me to just pause you here, but I just got a message that we have some questions. So let me maybe check. What do we have on our chat? Chat. Oh no. Oh, any news on Ethiopia and Pakistan? Guys, patience is a virtue. We have an agenda. We'll be getting to that point, but thank you very much for the question. We'll be with you in a second. Now to actually finish the EU subject.
Yeah.
So basically, because you've described at least 2 changes, right? One is going to be the kind of blueprint, the language, and the second change is going to be this address, which is URL. Excuse me for my non-technical language, but okay. So, and these changes, do we consider them major ones, or do we consider them?
I would say so. Very important one, because as I mentioned before, if these changes are not implemented of serialization system providers, customers, systems users will not be able to communicate with EU Hub any longer. Will not receive any information. Will not be able to upload data to EU Hub.
So basically, it's a business critical level type of challenge. Okay. So I mean, has any one of you been aware of this already? Do you guys discuss with your vendors? Let us know in the chat. Would be excited to hear about what you're doing about this. And of course, if you'll have more questions, we're always happy to hear. I believe you mentioned 3 points in Europe.
Yes, the first one is certificate renewal. So the thing is very similar. So the EMVO is going to to change the certificate, something that is used by our serialization system, by customer serialization system, in order to recognize whether the information received from EU Hub are actually from EU Hub. So this certificate needs to also be updated on the customer's side in order to let their system to understand, to recognize messages from EU Hub and be able to get them and respond to them. So again, I would like to mention here that this is the change that is on serialization providers' side. This is their obligation to complete this. So what we can advise here is to just communicate with your system providers and ask whether they are aware of this change, what are their preparation status, and so on and so forth. So this is important.
I think this is extremely critical, especially if you guys operate on kind of an on-premise solution still. I know there's very few companies who still do it, but that might be much more critical, because on-premise solution each needs to be upgraded after the other, so to say. It's not like in the cloud you launch one update and everything is updated. So yeah, it's good to start discussing this early with your vendors. Okay, so these I understand, Renata, are like region-wide kind of changes that are going to be coming in. Most of them will have to be handled by the vendors, which is great. Do we have any market-specific in Europe changes? I think
the hot topic, which is Italy.
Yes, I heard it's hot in there now, so everything aligns. So what do we actually know about Italy? Because Italy was supposed to come in 25, I believe, right? The Bolino asked for a couple of more years. They got it, and it seems to be ready. What's the latest?
Yeah, we know more and more about Italy, which is good. So the current status is that we are in so-called stabilization period, which started in February 2025 and will end in February 2027. What we know now that both systems, so Bolino and EU FMD system, are valid, so the companies can choose, so to say. However, most of them still use Bolino system, because when it comes to EU FMD, this is possible. However, this is a part of so-called pilot program, which was announced by NMVO Italia, and this started in June this year. The second part of this project, pilot project, started in June this year. Companies were advised and invited to participate in this part of the project, so they were able to submit their application and express their willingness to participate and check how it's going to work for Italian market. What I would like to mention here are also Italian specific requirements, because they implement EU FMD. However, their requirements are little bit beyond EU FMD requirements. So what is important for sure is fifth data element, AIC code. So this will be additional code that needs to be added to the packaging and needs to be used by companies in order to make their project compliant. And the second one is so-called Carta Valori, which is anti-tampering device, but again different to the one which is required by EU FMD. This is additional type of security which is required by Italian government, Italian authorities, in order to make them make the products able to access Italian market.
Okay, so I here have a question to better understand if I understand, because you're mentioning that there's this pilot basically happening in Italy now, and I don't know if I understood right, but is it pilot to see if they can report to Bolino and Bolino sends it to the Italian NMVS, or
no? Bolino is going to be not available after 2020.
So what are they piloting?
They are piloting the new system that is going to be mandatory after February 2027. So this we had two pilot phases, so to say. The first one was completed in April, and the second one is kind of ongoing right now for sellable units, which will be used with Carta Valori, with all the requirements that are binding starting from February 2027. So this is kind of real life situation that is going to be in place next year. And this is kind of also, I would say, hypercare period, when Italian NMVO is checking whether the system is going to be effective enough to kind of support market requirements.
And do we know anything about, because, for instance, in Germany, they also have a fifth data element. This is for those companies who are selling multi-market packs and stuff like that. France has also with their reimbursement and stuff like that. And in Italy, do they also have solutions for like multi-market packs and stuff like that, or we don't know it yet?
I'm not sure of that. I would need to double check. However, looking at the requirements, these products are going to be specific to.
That's how it
Italy.
seems
Yeah.
to me. That's why I'm asking, because I mean that might require some changes on your side, guys, as well. But okay, very interesting. So it seems to me like Italy is not just some technological thing that comes in and you have now national system, but it has to do more with also their own requirements that they want. So it's not just you. Very interesting. It seems like they're coming last to the party, but they're coming in strong.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed. Okay, and any idea on right in general about EMVO? Yeah, I think we discussed most of the things about really European region. Very nice to see that we're constantly striving to improve and get better in our own region. So that's very nice, Renata. Now maybe let's go to sunny Egypt.
Yeah.
And see what our colleagues from Egypt came up with and what's their status.
Yeah, another hot topic when it comes to temperature and the situation. So when it comes to Egypt, I would say this is very interesting market because they implemented serialization. They are pretty new to it, and also what is interesting about Egypt is that this is very significant and big market in Africa, and also most of the product consumed in Egypt are produced locally. So the situation that we have a deadline of 1st August 2026 for local manufacturers to implement serializations seems to be very crucial for them because this is a huge local market that needs to align with the requirements. So the change, when it comes to deadlines in general, so 1st February was for foreign products that were produced abroad. And when it comes to the first the products manufactured locally, this is 1st August 2026. So the deadline is coming. Yeah.
Wow, we see it actually quite often that there's this separation between local kind of standards that are communicated and then the international kind of companies. Like this was similar, I guess, in Vietnam and stuff. But okay, so and how do we know anything about the readiness of their actual systems? Are they already testing something? How this is gonna go?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to the requirements, they are, of course, they will be provided to our audience with the materials. Maybe just what I would like to mention here is that GS1 data matrix is a standard which is required. So GTN serial numbers, expire dates, and serial numbers are the standard requirements. What I would like to mention here is that the expiry date, because for most of the market, expiry date format is like six digit format required. However, when it comes to Egypt, the situation is a little bit different because they require full date with dashes and with letter T at the end. So this is maybe small detail, but also
letter T.
T, yeah.
T for what?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's the requirement.
Maybe time. Okay.
Maybe. And the situation is that maybe this is a small detail which is easy to overlook. However, if you do not follow this requirement, your product may be rejected on the local market. So what is also important for Egypt is that currently when it comes to reporting, CSV files are accepted and no information regarding any other formats that can be accepted for now. So in this phase one, only CSV files are kind of accepted and can be uploaded to the local system. Products needs to be reported before arriving to Egypt. This is also important. And in general, for foreign companies, what is important is that they need to have some local partner, local company that will report for them. So this is the kind of format implemented.
Wow, this is very interesting. So basically, in Egypt, if you're an international company, you cannot report yourself.
Yeah.
You need to have someone locally. So kind of a bit similar how Turkey has it, as internationals also have to collaborate.
I think that many companies requires this.
Yeah.
Many countries requires this.
Yeah. I guess it's a way to make sure that your internal industry still, still goes on and stuff like that. So very nice. I mean, and yes, you're right. Egypt is very strong locally in terms of their manufacturing capabilities and medicines.
This is impressive, really.
Yes. So very nice. Greetings to our colleagues in Egypt.
There are many open questions from our customers, from audience that we received simply regarding Egypt. Some of them I put also on a slide. However, there are many things still to be discussed, still to be confirmed. Not all information is clear. However, what we know already based on the resources available, you will see in our materials.
I mean, the way it seems to me, and based on our actual experiences, things are also going to be evolving there and changing. Right now it's just CSV, but maybe then there's going to be another file. It's just really a matter of time and their own experience as well on how it all works. But let's hope not too many changes are going to be happening there. I understand they're still going to kind of follow GS1 standard and everything, so this should be quite straightforward.
Apart from this reporting and some maybe local requirements, but in the standard is general.
Okay, very nice. So I believe after Egypt, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you also don't get bored, we have another poll for you before we go into the discovering further changes in the Middle East. So the poll number 2 is about what is the most difficult part of the implementation for the new markets for you guys. Always very interesting to hear. Different companies tackle these challenges differently, especially if they have local affiliates. The ones who don't have local affiliates generally have it a bit more complicated, but then they have us and they have it easier. So we still have some votes coming in. Okay, and while we're waiting, maybe, so there's this matter about letter T. We have a question. I know we have more questions. We'll get back to them, but since we're on the subject of Egypt, maybe Renata, could you just repeat about this letter T, that it's part of the date?
Yes. So according to the technical requirements, which was published by EDA, I think that we can also share it with our audience. The requirements is, when it comes to the rest of the requirements is pretty similar when it comes to data required. However, expiry date should be in a specific format, which is a full date with dashes and letter T at the end. That's the requirement of
so instead of like having 6 symbols, digits, we're going to have 8 digits plus dashes plus letter T.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's very important for everyone who has the actual manufacturing lines and level 3 and stuff like that to make sure that you have enough of those data fields. That's probably something you should work out with your vendor, and they should be ready for this as well, because, well, you'll have to put in that master data with additional 2 numbers, dashes, and letter T. And by the way, guys, just very important before we move on, all of this information is also going to be published on our compliance map on our webpage, nubino.com compliance, where we also are going to post the reference from where we have this information, because as I was mentioning, it's not very easy to find all of this information, and we're trying to make sure that everything is confirmed, verified, and published also with a reference on our compliance map. So just the information. Now I think we have everyone has voted already, and wow, we have at least 2 areas that nobody voted anything, and this is coordinating testing and validation with external partners, so CMOs or MAHs with whom you might be working, or 3PLs, of course. And so that's, nobody sees it as a challenge. And preparing operational support system, transition, and exception management is also not a challenge. Good to hear, guys. One of the challenges for some is updating system integrations, authentication methods, and reporting interfaces. Renata, any comments from your side why this can be challenging for some companies?
Yeah, because new platform means new system to you need to communicate with. You need to change your configurations. You need to ensure that the connection works well. So this is technical challenge for sure. So updating system integration seems a very relevant topic here.
Yeah, especially companies that have their compliance system integrated to, let's say, ERP, warehouse management, and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's more works. And we see that the biggest obstacle right now is actually understanding the final requirements, what final needs to be done, and these type of details. Um, and this is exactly why we're doing these webinars. We hope that this can help you, give you more direction on what to focus on, what to look at. We know ourselves that it's not very easy to get these things. And of course, guys, if you still have questions, if you still might not understand something fully, don't be a stranger, don't be shy. Contact us, and we'll try to do our best. First of all, in understanding your business, and then into explaining these requirements according to what your business needs. Um, I guess that's why we're also doing quite well with our customers, because that's how we're looking at these things. And now we're going to move on to another hot region. All of them are hot, it seems. So we're talking about Middle East, Bahrain.
Yeah, Bahrain, and transition to TATABU system. Yeah, that's why we wanted to consult the challenges of our audience related to transition to a new platform, because Bahrain is well established when it comes to serialization. It started serializing in 2021, I believe. However, this year they decided to change the platform from MVC to TATABU system. However, when it comes to Bahrain, what I must say is that they are very transparent. The information is provided to the industry, which is very good. They communicate with the industry, with the companies through regular circulars. And so I just would like to mention three of them, which seems to be very important when it comes to this transition from one platform to another. The first one was from October 2025, when we learned that the MVC system will be terminated after August 11 this year. So that was very important information. And the payment should not be made after July 2026 to MVC. And that the companies which were in the middle of onboarding or were planning to start onboarding to the system were required to communicate with authorities in order to ask for the guidelines. The next information came in May this year, and the second circular revealed the name of the system, which is TATABU system, and also the technical provider, which is Antares. We learned also from this information that this implementation will be phased, so not everyone at the same time, but the companies, different types of market participants will be invited to join the system, kind of in phased approach. And the latest news from 21st June 2026, so very new, is
that's
that
like
yeah,
3 days
three
ago.
days ago, is that the organizations, MAHs, are invited and even required to start onboarding to a new system, to TATABU system, and they are required to finalize the onboarding till July 20th this year. So not that much time.
All of them.
Yes, because the situation is that if we understand that current system, MVC system, is not going to be active after 11th of August this year, so we really don't have much time to complete the onboarding, to complete the transition. That's why the latest circular from Bahrain authorities invited and requested, as I mentioned, the companies to start as soon as possible and to complete their onboarding, by the end of by the end of July.
And what do we know about risks associated with failure to comply?
Well, if the companies will not be able to complete the onboarding till 10th of August, after 11th of August, they will not be able to report because MVC is not going to be operational any longer. But what is also important here is that all the companies are required to continue reporting till 11th of August to the current system. So do what they did so far. So this is important, not change anything. Just start the preparation, start the onboarding, And I would say when it comes to the, I don't know what's your opinion, Witold, here. However, I would say that when we talk about changing of platforms, upgrading of platforms, validation is a very important topic. Even though our audience answers were that validation is not that a big challenge for them, that's very good. That's good to hear that. However, I think that we cannot forget about this. Because when the systems are changes, when the connections between the system are changes, validation is required.
Yes, I mean it's a GXP environment, second most regulated after the aviation, so to say. So these things are not a joke, really. Yeah. So, but I guess looking at what our audience is saying, so I guess the quality department is really understanding and knows what to do. So that's very good. But of course, if anyone is going to have any validation related questions, also feel free to let us know. We'll be happy. Okay, so anything else we should really know about Bahrain at this stage? Like how do you think is that not going to cause any challenges that the timeline is so short currently?
As I mentioned, the information, the communication from Bahrain authorities is very transparent. This is a very good example for pharma industry in general, so to say. So I think that if the companies are aware, if MAHs are aware what are the requirements and they just are required to act, they will find the information. We will also provide some helpful information, helpful links to our audience to go there to have a look and get the information needed.
Very nice. Thank you, Renata. And last thing from my side, I mean, I don't speak the language, but the name change is quite cute. TATABU. Very nice. I guess we can also move on to the country not far from Bahrain, Jordan. They're fresh, no?
Yes, they are fresh. They started when it comes to Jordan, the story is that they were preparing for quite a long time. The deadline for serialization was postponed 4 times, as far as I remember. So, but they are now live. So, starting from the 1st January this year, the serialization is required there. So, we also discussed that during our previous webinar. So just to remind this that the serialization is required, the enforcement is active. And maybe what is important here is that there is no so far national database when it comes to Jordan. So the verification happens at the point of dispense of the product. So there is no system that the companies need to go and upload the data. MAHs are not required to do so far because of course Jordan plans to implement the national database for pharmaceutical products as well. However, for now, in this phase of the implementation, there is no such system. So this is a little bit easier than Bahrain or Egypt for foreign companies.
So what did they verify against? Basically, they just check the data on the box.
The data on the box. So the requirements are GS1 standard. So 2D data matrix with cheating serial expiration date.
And I guess there was no communication on what's going to be further with.
Well, as far as I know from the resources that we have, as I mentioned, they plan to implement national system, but there is no timeline for this, and also aggregation is going to be required. But for now, we don't have specific timelines, specific information regarding this. But for now, what we need to know is that Jordan is live when it comes to serialization. We need to serialize. What is the good news for the companies is that if we serialize for Europe, for US, these GTINs, the serial numbers will be accepted in Jordan. So there is no specific other requirements when it comes to Jordan market. These products will be accepted. We just need to remember to serialize them, and the challenge here may be to verify the legacy products which were packed before January 2026. Because if we have some stocks from the previous year and which is not serialized and we are going to send it to Jordan, it's worth to check whether it's
seems
serialized.
Like they haven't figured out the grandfathering law details, right, on this. Okay, so we'll be posting you once we know the information on that. But it's very interesting because I mean these countries are not so far apart, and stuff like that. One of them has already been live and stuff like that, and we're seeing them upgrading to something better, which is nice, and hope it's going to be better. and the other one that is just starting and just coming in. Still seems like a phased approach in a way. But to be honest with you, I understand where the urgency comes from. Last year we were speaking to Interpol, and they were actually saying that that's the region where quite a lot of counterfeits. I'm talking about Middle East, North Africa. That's where some of those quite a lot of counterfeits actually originate, and that's how they make our way. That's why Turkey was the first country in the world to introduce these, because they were basically a ground for all of those coming in. So I'm really happy to see that the governments are actually doing something about it to protect it and to finally somehow eliminate those counterfeit medicines from the market. Okay, very nice. Thank you, Renata, about Jordan and Bahrain. Um, Now let's go further east, I guess, right into some Asian countries, and let's see what's happening there.
Yeah, Indonesia. Yeah, Indonesia. So yeah, very interesting country, very interesting case because this is large market, really huge. And when it comes to their implementation of serialization, what is interesting here is two-tier approach. So they decided to implement QR codes. So as a first step, as a tier one.
Is it QR or 2D data?
QR,
okay.
2D data is the second step.
Okay.
So QR was the first step in order to verify that the products are registered locally and are, can be released to Indonesian market. And step two is full serialization, so 2D data matrix. So they applied a little bit different approach than the rest of the countries. And when it comes to the timelines, what I would like to mention here is that now the timeline, the serialization is required for narcotics and psychotropics drugs. So if you sell this type of product to the market, serialization is live for you. And when it comes to the full serialization for all the products, the deadline is December 2027. So we still have some time, but this
So-
should be.
So Renata, when it comes to these things, as you said, they're kind of have also phased approach. So the QR code, if I'm already making 2D data matrix, would that be accepted in this first phase, or would I have to do QR and then wait till the kind of second phase to come to? Is there any communication on that, or?
I haven't seen any specific communication regarding this. However, it seems that if some of the products like psychotropics drugs are already required to be serialized, it seems that if you have more than less, it's better. So if you serialize more, that should be enough. But I think here is maybe the matter of registration locally and making authorities aware that the products are going to reach Indonesian market with serialization, even though it's not required.
And do they talk anything about aggregation and stuff like that? Or?
Aggregation is mandatory for all serialized products. So I think that aggregation comes with serialization. So if there is a requirement of serialization, aggregation is required as well.
Okay. And they'll also have to do reporting, right, and stuff, or is that kind of still?
Registration locally is required.
Just registration. But do they need to send any reports for batch release or anything?
Well, I would need to double check that. They have local system and local authority which is responsible for this type of for making sure that the products that reach local market are legit. And can be released to the market. However, regarding the details, that would need to be checked.
Yeah, because I mean, and honestly, I've been hearing about Indonesia for years. Like I've been hearing about them since 2017 that they're looking at it. So I'm glad to see that they're finally making something happen. As you said, it's a massive market. So we wish them also all the best in their implementation and start. And of course, if anyone is operating there and have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to. Sweet. So, anything else we should know about Indonesia or maybe our audience? No?
No.
Okay. So, of course, we'll be posting more updates when we know about them. But moving on, while still in Asia, we have also Uzbekistan.
Yeah, here maybe just a quick information that also regarding the what we included Uzbekistan on our list just to underline that this platform changes is happening because they also decided to change or upgrade their system to X-Trace 2, and some significant changes are required on MAH's side in order to be able to report to the system. We discussed also that during our previous webinar, so you are, if anyone is interested, you are invited to go there and check the details. We also included the details in our presentation for today, so this will be done. However, this is important from this trend on the market, as you mentioned before, that after 5-6 years of using the one system, companies or countries in fact decide to change from one platform to another to make the system more efficient.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's going to be expected because, you know, to me, it's all kind of the same analogy of hackers versus, you know, people who do antivirus. You know, every time hackers become smarter on how to crack the, you know, the security, and the security becomes smarter on how to stop them. So it's always kind of one the other, one the other one. And here I see it the same way. You know, here, okay, a lot of it still has to do with effectiveness and efficiency, but still we see that markets are trying to make it better, smarter. And what it tells us for sure is that it's not going to be going anywhere. It's going to stay and remain. We heard a lot of companies from actually Italy, because we've been speaking to them, and they were saying, you know, like I still don't believe this is going to happen. And this was like 2 weeks ago. We were speaking to some of them, and we were saying, so what are you doing? Oh, we're just stocking up. You know, we're just stocking up because there's grandfather-in-law and stuff like that. But to assure you guys, it's gonna come once you, if you want it or you don't. I mean, these are the regulations that are just evolving. Cool. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, new markets, just to mention.
Whoa, nice. Okay,
yeah,
something new is happening.
We included, for today's, in today's agenda, we included 2 new markets on our serialization radar, which is Tajikistan and Pakistan. And what I just would like to underline here, and also as you mentioned before, that for some markets the information and sharing the information with industry is not so transparent as, for example, in Bahrain. And this is the case for Tajikistan, because we did our best in order to find the most reliable sources of our information. However, the information is not published or published in local language, so this is very difficult to get the information from official authorities, from official sources. The information that we have comes from some news releases, some local information agencies, which are checked, of course. However, I would like to just underline here that if someone is going to enter Tajikistan market, you are advised to contact your local partner or local operator, which is Technologia Group. We will go for it in a moment. Just to make sure, just to confirm by 100% the information what is required, what is needed for this specific market, only because this is not that transparent as for the rest of the, or maybe not the rest, but some of other serialization market. However, what we found regarding Tajikistan is that the serialization is already required, starting from January 2025. When it comes to the system, it's information system of electronic marking of good ESEMT, so-called, and the operator is Technologia Group. When it comes to data carrier, so data requirements, they require 2D data matrix and cryptographic element, which is the requirement similar to Russia or to Uzbekistan. So not only serialization is required for Tajikistan, but also authentication is needed. That's why this is important element. And what is also important for foreign manufacturers is that still the most of the obligation sits with local Tajik distributor or importer. So the company, local partner, because they are required to register with the, to sign the contract with the operator, to report, to just, foreign manufacturers, CMOs are obliged to apply codes to the products. However, the rest of the reporting and confirming the product locally is on local distributor side. This is
it's also very interesting because it seems like you know, all around the world, we're kind of battling the same challenge. You know, it's about our health. It's about being able to get what we need for health and stuff like that. And all of these markets, you know, they have, it seems like it's regional differences. You know, not just country specific, but in a way regional. In Europe, we have a lot of member states that all have one and the same. In Eurasia, so you know, Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, you know, I think there's more coming in there. You know, they seem to have all very similar kind of templates. If we look at, you know, closer to the Middle East, they all have similar templates as well. So very interesting how regions are developing it. And in a way, I guess, because actually this week I had a couple of meetings with some large companies that are, I would say, not fighting, but are really working hard towards establishing one standard. And it's crazy that it's so complicated because everyone is fighting the same kind of threat, the same enemy, but we all do it in different ways, which makes it so complicated for all of us,
For
really.
company who would like to sell globally.
Yeah.
That's
It is crazy. I mean, I hope that one day we'll be able to just have one requirement, one system for everything. Sweet. Renata, what
short
about
Pakistan? Yeah, short news regarding Pakistan. So again, what we've managed to learn regarding Pakistan, the news from June this year is that the serialization is going to be required starting from October this year. So if someone is going to sell or release the product to Pakistan, it's worth to remember. When it comes to standard to the data matrix with GTIM serial number, batch, and expiry date, so standards requirements are pretty similar. For aggregation, we have more time because this is the requirement is planned to be implemented in June 2032, so quite a lot of time for this. And reporting of reporting the product information to the local database is also required. However, this, as also I mentioned before, this information about this more, let's say, exotic market for us are based on the information from various sources, reliable, however, not official ones. So I would also recommend to communicate with local distributor or with local partner to double check and verify the exact requirements here.
Okay. Wow. So a lot of things are actually going on, but and I know we're also kind of running out of time here. But maybe last kind of question, Renata, for on these updates. So, you know, imagine if you would be the global pharma company operating in all of these markets. What would you say to yourself, to your team, that you should kind of focus on for the second half of the year? What do you think is kind of maybe, I guess, most complicated or most urgent, according to you?
You know, what we used to say is that serialization is as strong as data behind it, which means that data quality is crucial here. Understanding data requirements for specific markets that we are going to enter or sell the product to is crucial, and validating them. So making sure that because as we discussed during our call, markets are similar. However, there are some very detailed differences between them. So understanding these differences and making sure that the data is prepared according to the requirements of specific market is crucial here in order to, you know, avoid some problems related to data transmission, accepting the products in local markets, and so on and so forth. The second one is, as I mentioned already, is enforcement. So many countries started enforcing serialization. So if we are going to enter the market that was not serializing so far, let's make sure that they are not still don't serialize, because this is, as you mentioned, this is a global trend that countries are going to join this network of serialization and starting many new countries are starting to require
ask for those things.
ask for those things. So this is important. And also, as I mentioned before, validation seems to me important topic, because in case of all these technological changes that are happening in GXP systems, serialization is validation is crucial thing. So just to make sure that your systems are validated and will meet all the validation requirements during audits, during inspections. This is important.
Especially, with those up and coming markets, because validators, inspections might happen more often at the beginning, rather than later. So I think you're right. It's a crucial moment. I mean, from my side, let's say if I were to be a manager or something of this type of organization that operates everywhere, I think I'd want to prioritize as well according to these dates. This is very important. And we're entering the second half of the year as well, and the second half of the year is really kind of a lot of holiday seasons here, holiday season there, celebration here, celebration there. So I think we need to be very honest with ourselves regarding the timelines. August is a hard month to achieve some great progress with these things. December is similar. So this half of the year is shorter. So that's also my kind of heads up to the managers out there. It's not just about when you and your team takes holidays. It's also about when your partners go on holidays, because things have to be done together in some cases. So that's important. And now maybe Renata, if we were to look ahead of this year, what should we kind of expect? What should we be aware of?
Yeah, our audience can see the list of with some timelines here. So we prepared this list for all our participants of our webinar, in order to give them the information and help them understand if they are going to enter specific markets, or if they are, for example, present on European Union markets, what they need to do, what they need to know about the changes of technological changes that are going in Europe, requirements, serialization requirements in the rest of the markets. So all this is prepared and will be shared with our audience in order to let everyone prepare better.
Very nice. Yeah, so guys, you will all be able to receive that. I know we're cautious of time, but for the ones who might not be aware of it, just as well, is there's also a very big regulation coming in the United States. It has to do with national drug codes. So if you have any business or anything happening in the US, please take a look at this. This has quite some time to be implemented, but it also seems like it's going to be a very large scale project involving your ERP, warehouse management system, your manufacturing side, and everything. So take a look at this. And of course, we have our webinar, and we're here for you if you have any questions on this. So thank you very much. Now I know we have some questions in the chat. Let's take a look at those questions and see what we can. Maybe let's start from the top, because some people had more of them at the top, and then. I would like to scroll this. Oh, okay, we still have some new questions coming in.
Do you know the operator of the
system
in Pakistan? Yeah, the information will be, as I mentioned, will be shared with the participants. So we were not able to discuss everything in details to cover everything that we have in our slides. However, everything will be shared with you, so you will find answers to some of the questions for sure.
Very nice. So that's I think there was aggregation we already addressed for Indonesia. I believe it was about 2D data matrix. So yeah, okay. TATABU is for medical devices or for all pharmaceutical products?
Yes, in fact, for everything, because they implemented requirement for medical devices in May this year, as far as I remember, and the and pharmaceutical products are going as an next step.
Everything, OTC as well, yeah, right? Similar to how Saudi Arabia did it back in the day, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, so if anyone also sells medical devices to Bahrain, so this is also important to remember to register with TATABU system.
And what do we know anything about tender products for Bahrain?
Tender in the meaning?
So basically, when there's a government sets up a tender for companies to kind of compete, provide the best price, and then the winner basically gets the purchase order.
It seems that if the products are in the scope of the
Yeah.
requirements, they need to be. Yeah.
So for today, the answer is yes, but we'll of course verify, and you'll see it in our sources and references.
When it comes to this letter T in Egypt, yeah, this is something new. I will also share the information will be shared in our slides. I can also provide the source of the information.
I believe somebody even provided their answer as well here. My life minus day from I know that's a question. Expiration date shall be manufacturing date plus total shelf life minus 1 day in format. Or is it different calculation?
When it comes to calculation, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I don't know it now, but we will provide you with the answer for this. We'll try and maybe make also like a little file for these questions.
Yes, include all the
we'll
questions.
Answer those, and we'll send it together with the presentation and the recording for you guys.
Not sure if we will be able to do it still today. However, we'll try to find the answers and share.
But there are going to be follow-up. Yeah, as I said, we're also working hard to understand this information as precisely as we can. But as Renata said, some governments are just publishing as they publish. Okay. So with regards to letter T, we will add the biggest. Okay, so somebody said that the biggest challenge for them was the mistakes in the specs. They worked closely with them to update.
It's probably about the platform update.
No, so I think it's about the specs that they would be receiving, and then basically implementing that. And again, maybe specs are not fully provided, and then after implementation, you need to do more and more to fit that requirement fully. Okay, did we?
This one seems to be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
IPZS. So the question is, do you have information that will be able to?
Requirements available for data. Oh. Matrix, TATABU, number. Yeah, there are. When it comes to this, is the question related to Italian market. So there are the regulation published. They are available in NMVO Italia website. So I think that you can go there and check the requirements, because if not exact requirements, the reference to what is required when it comes to Carta Valori and exact how it should be designed on a product and applied to the product, the specifications are available. Not sure if in English, in Italian for sure. However, the references can be found on NMVO's Italia website.
Okay. Ooh, we have more questions coming in, which is very nice, but I'm being aware of the time. So let's take one more question, Renata, and then what we'll do is, guys, we'll publish for you also the contact details, so you can contact us and you can ask these questions during a phone call or Microsoft Teams call, whatever you use, just so we can actually address them, because unfortunately the time is running out here, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity for you to actually drill down to the bottom of your question.
I see questions related to Italy again. So is AIC compulsory? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So, and we'll also take the questions from the chat and create like a Q&A type of file and share with all of you our answers for your questions. But to be honest with you, I think it's much more fun if you give us a call and if we chat about this. This is not like a service or something. This is just us being here for you guys. So yeah, we encourage that. We'll share the details. Also, please follow us on LinkedIn, because that's where a lot of information is also getting published. But basically for today, I think, first of all, Renata, thank you very much for your time, and for everyone who has attended today. As we see, the second part of the year is going to be very active in terms of new compliances, and it seems like that's not going to stop. There's going to be more of that. So please stick around. we'll be doing our best to provide you with the latest updates. And of course, don't be a stranger to reach out and have a chat with us. Thank you very much, Renata. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us today. Wish you all a pleasant day. And yeah, you'll hear from us. Bye.
Bye.